Well, Thierry joins us now from the European Landowners Organisation, co-sponsor of the Forum for the Future of Agriculture, and here we are in 2018. Welcome, Thierry. We talk about an annual health check, if you like, every year on agriculture and the environment. I know that you've said that the patient, if you like, is not healthy, not back on its feet. And one of the things that you cite about the challenges for agriculture is the fact that those farming the land, a third of them are over 65, and that idea of the young being needed is of vital significance now.
Of course, it's vital because it's very unclear for the young if it is a good job to take over or not. And even in large farm or a small farm doesn't matter. It's about the same discussion. Now the question is, and this is what we are tackling together, what kind of future do we offer them? And then we have to recognize the only way is to bring agriculture into a transition period. And this transition is expressed today by this motto of the conference, healthy food, healthy farming, healthy environment. If you can cope with the three elements, then maybe the young generation will think there is something to do and to invest for their life and to make a job of it. And this is really the challenge we are facing now. If we look to healthy food, it was part of the debate this morning, we have to say that there are solutions, but we are not yet there. And the solutions are various, and maybe we are in a global economy of agriculture. Maybe we should also consider more the local production. We should consider more and healthier the environmental footprint, without forgetting that when we are importing beans, for example, from Kenya, we have to do that because we have also to offer job to our neighbor. Otherwise, they will all come in Europe. So it would be a nonsense. It doesn't mean when we speak about local production that we are only eating what is produced here, but we have to take into consideration the specialties and the temporality of production. And this is quite an experience, and I was very much impressed by the speech and the address of Queen Noor, because I think she was outstanding explaining how climate change, one of the elements, when it's not tackled and not managed, is generating migration of populations and at the end insecurity. So the system is collapsing at the end.
This is one of the debates that has been going on at the forum each year. And when we think about your message, here we are in Brussels, to the European Union, there is still so much debate about the science, and that can get in the way. Attitudes towards the science is there, but so is the fear. We're going to be talking about the CAP later on this afternoon, and the future, the global pressures on the agri-food sector, and the role they have to play in climate protection. What do you make of the direction of the CAP that's been announced by Phil Hogan? He's going to be talking to us later on this afternoon.
Well, Phil Hogan is offering a CAP a bit more green. Of course, he will reconsider the greening and try to select criteria. Farmers will have to respect into the cross-compliance, and we can agree. It depends on the content of the criteria. Of course, greening was the first step, making sure farmers are taking the environmental and the biodiversity concern into account. And we should also consider that it should not be a top-down approach, but a down-top. Farmers, land managers, landowners have to deliver the biodiversity, to take it and to appropriate themselves this biodiversity. It should not be the job of NGOs, of states, member states. It should be the job of everybody. And so I hope this will be an opportunity to address this question.
You've always said that the destruction of nature must be stopped, and yet we have 9 billion mouths to feed. The Bill Gates Foundation has talked about global food security and the double greening, where we can grow more food with less impact. From one year, from last year to the next and on, do you see small examples of change coming through?
I think we had a few speakers demonstrating that change is going on. Massimo Bottura, who is currently speaking on stage, is explaining how different chefs who have many stars are interested to cook residues of to develop a new approach of cooking. And this is a sign because it's quite unusual. Normally, chefs prefer to offer you the best food for the best price or for the highest price. Here we are speaking about something completely different, coming from the same sector. This is, of course, a signal, and there are various signals because you also identify that your young generation is eating differently than our generation. Also, the meat consumption is increasing locally, but not globally, because globally there's a lot of need for people to get access to the proteins contained in the meat. So we should not decrease the meat production as such. We should have a more responsible meat production and livestock in the countryside.
Quino opened this morning by talking about the importance of sharing wisdom, as you described it, having open debate, and even if views are polarized, bringing them together. You'd, of course, endorse that finally.
Oh, yes, definitively. I think she's quite right. We have to exchange wisdom, what means experience, and understand from the lessons learned by others what we can develop. I'm not so sure that we are always so open to the lessons the others have been facing. But you know, there is currently a meeting of the European Union with Mr. Erdogan, and part of the problem she was addressing this morning, the migration from Syria, is in fact affecting us in Europe, and we should not be naive. We have to tackle this problem of food, not only at home, but also externally. And we have to understand that the CAP has impact and effect outside the European Union, and be a bit more fair.
We have to do it in a changing world, don't we? When we think about future trade agreements and such, the world is very much a changing place, no more so than in Europe, and farmers must really focus their view.
Yeah, but you know, currently there are debates about the Mercosur. There are some agreements in negotiation with Mexico and Colombia, and I do believe that we have to find solution. Therefore, we have to make sure that trade is functioning, and also that we are accepting the right products at the right place. There are a lot of problems to be sorted out, but let's go on that way. I will not explain that there because it would take a long time, but we should be confident and we should move on, but we should not forget Africa. We know that Africa is not a big exporter and they import a lot, but we should take care about Africa. I know that the Yellow Foundation, the Syngenta Foundation, many of our members' family foundation are looking into rural development and food and agriculture in those countries. I think it's a good mood. It's also a signal that something has to be done, and it needs urgently to be done. We don't do it, we have a problem.
As you say, let's go. Thierry de Lescaille, thank you very much.
Thank you.